snow fell cold on a bitter night. John was gone for the morning light. They blame Karen, but it don't sit right. Too many secrets hid from sight. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canada.
Hey everyone, and a little shorter intro because they came back and went straight to sidebar again. So we are big back, and let's see what witness Brennan will call this afternoon. That can help the defense as much as the last witness he called. Konnichiwa. Mr. Music. So what did you miss? You missed that the medical examiner was truthful like the last time. She didn't swing for any wild things. The only thing that kind of was interesting in retrospect is because it was the same testimony she gave the last time, more or less. But I didn't notice that. I've seen it on Twitter that apparently while Brennan showed the video, another ghost appeared behind the SUV that no one has noticed before, and that Keith lied about being the only one in the autopsy room. I think I was out talking to my neighbor when they talked about that picture. So he lied about that one as well. And other than that, she's been straightforward. It seems like all of these medical examiners, medical professionals, DNA people, even though they might not be good at their job, at least they're not lying about what they did in this case. Is Reflex solved that one too? Yeah. Hey, Vicky.
No, and I think that there's a different kind of category. These people, if they lie, it's their entire career. I mean, if Dr. Scortibello, kind of fiddle farts with autopsies and someone goes back and looks at it, that's her license. She spent, 812 years becoming a doctor?
She's but so is it with all the cops. They should lose their job as well. So
I should and does happen is very different in Canton.
Brennan asked a few too much questions because Scortibello apparently went away at BT.
She went away
a
from
bit hypothermia as cause of death and more to blunt force trauma. She can't change her determinations. It will still be, but he was asking more about the blunt force trauma.
Yeah, and I think she said that, minus the blunt force trauma, she didn't know what the hypothermia would have done. Yeah. But it was the blunt force trauma was the main contributor.
Yeah, you can say that. Oh, it's break time. Oh, I thought it was bit. I don't understand.
I was thinking basal temperature, but that was wrong. Way wrong.
You are unmuted.
It's funny that you have listened to it so long that you know what audio code they are punching in. Excuse me, please. And Bev is already sighing. And the Habsburg jaw is ready to go. I just wish we could talk about the blood, because to me it means a lot, but they didn't talk about it at all in the first case. So maybe they don't see it as anything important, or yeah, who knows? Did she find any other injuries besides the scratches on the arm and stuff on the head? That small, what looks like someone had put out a cigar on his leg. And of course the chest compression injuries to the sternum, but Lally tried to make it an impact in the first case, but she said, no, that's consistent with the CPR. Seems safer to watch this afternoon part with Baker so far. Day is looking up. Why is it safe to watch with me? We do a lot of weird things on this channel. We don't know anyone. Everyone thought Squatty Bello wasn't going to be called. So everyone has disclosed their witness list, but they haven't. There's no obligation to call everyone on your witness list. It could just be that, and sometimes you'll put some witnesses on there where someone then, okay, we're going to spend a lot of time getting ready for that witness, and you never call them. But everyone had thought that Squatty Bello wouldn't be called because they hired a neurosurgeon, and Asir Wolf from Miami, who will come in and testify about the damages to the brain. But this guy isn't a forensic Mo?
What? Forensic pathologist?
No,
Neuropathologist.
Not a forensic neuropathologist. So he will just he will get hammered with, but you don't normally touch dead brains. And he said, well, I did it in my college and I have a little bit of experience. As far as I've been looking, I can't see him in any major cases. But again, maybe because we have this stupid EU ban on certain websites, so I can't see everything. But I can't see him as a he's a respected lawyer, doctor. I'm not doubting that, but I just can't see him as a great witness out there. Emily thinks that after the medical, it's the crash folks.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Dr. Squirty Bello, and welcome back.
Thank you.
I want to move on to a slightly different aspect of the
Mo, this is an existential question. Churches will try to help you understand what Satan is.
Oh, no. Someone was asking, how does Yuri still have a job? And I was either going to go with he went to a crossroads and made, a deal with the devil or Satan. So I just put Satan because it was less typing.
Oh, I thought you just wanted to know Satan. So.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, not personally.
And Lefty is not a respected doctor, but he play respectful doctor. Wait, never mind. Lefty does special $5 gynecology exams if you need it. You can meet him in Wisconsin. He is behind the 7-Eleven. Bring your own gloves.
Hypothermia discussion. So you've acknowledged previously that hypothermia is a very difficult diagnosis to make, correct?
Correct.
And you acknowledge that in your grand jury testimony in this proceeding, correct? Do you recall that?
I do.
And you indicated in that grand jury proceeding generally that diagnosing hypothermia is based on contextual clues.
I don't think she's that important because the jury didn't buy it the last time, but it sure is important. I still think so far the most important witness have been Bukaki.
Is that correct?
On autopsy findings and investigative information, yes.
Right, and the last part, investigative, and that's that legal part, sort of the law enforcement contribution. Is that correct that you're referring to?
Correct.
You diagnosed Mr. O'Keefe with hypothermia based upon certain medical data that you believe you observed in the gastric area and the pancreatic area. Is that correct?
Correct.
And just for, I think most people will get this, to just be clear, gastric is sort of synonymous with the stomach.
Stomach.
And then we know the pancreas is a separate organ. And in your autopsy, you observed for example, the lining of both the stomach and the pancreas. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was the word you used?
let's start with the stomach. Did you observe the lining of the stomach as part of Mr. O'Keefe as part of the autopsy?
Yes, I observed some hemorrhages in the lining of the stomach.
We'll get to that, right? But I just want to talk about the organs and what aspects of the organs first, and then we'll get to that. And with regard to the pancreas, what aspect of the pancreas did you observe?
I examined both the external surface and the tissues around it, as well as the pancreas itself by making several cuts.
And there was also a histopathology report that was relevant to both the stomach and the pancreas, correct?
If she wore
Thank you,
purple,
Lefty. Oh,
she
go
could
ahead,
have been
Baker.
Skeletor's wife. She didn't wear a purple hoodie.
Wasn't she Evola or something? Her name was Evelyn.
Evelyn.
I don't-
Did anyone else just here separate Oregon? Maybe Oregon and Colorado wants to separate and be
Thank you.
separated from each other. Everyone knows Oregon and Colorado is the same state.
Histopathology.
Spell it, Mr. Leslie.
Histopathology.
Oh, we're getting to slides.
So that histopath information informed your hypothermia analysis, is that correct?
The histopathology was done to further confirm my finding or my determination of hypothermia.
So do I have it correct? And let's start with the pancreas. That you noted the pancreas was congested and diffusely hemorrhagic. Do I have that correct? And you feel free to look at your report, please.
I will.
And I specifically, if it helps, I'm
Yes.
looking at
Page 4.
the report of autopsy. It's not numbered pages, but it would be 4. And you see liver, gallbladder, and pancreas is 1. And then you go down a couple more and you see digestive system. That's what I'm focusing on.
Okay.
And the next page is the histopathology.
Yes.
All right. Are we sort of oriented in the same location?
Yes.
All right. So let's start with the pancreas. So if you look at the histopathology page, it says endocrine and exocrine pancreatic tissue with vascular congestion and patchy parenchymal, that's parenchymal hemorrhage, autolytic changes. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And I want to go at these one at a time, so now I'm going to jump back to the previous page where you discussed the heading liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you see the last sentence says the pancreas is congested and diffusely hemorrhagic. You see that?
Yes.
So now what I'd like to do, and is that what you're rooting in, if you will, the analysis of hypothermia?
The determination of hypothermia was made, yes, based on these findings and the circumstances I was provided. Yes.
Right, and thank you. I'm going to get to the circumstances, but it's sort of the medical legal construct that we were talking about. I want to just start first with the medical, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
So then let's now move to the organ of the stomach, a synonym gastric in terms of your report. So let's go to, please, back to the histopathology section. And under that, under pancreas is stomach. And there's a bulleted one sentence that says gastric tissue with vascular congestion and focal mucosal hemorrhage. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And then let's go back, as we did with the pancreas, for the stomach, go back to the previous page in your report under the heading digestive system. And the second sentence states the gastric mucosa shows focal areas of linear hemorrhages. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
So we've got hemorrhage discussion with the pancreas. We've got hemorrhage discussion with the stomach and the gastric area. Your diagnosis of hypothermia was not based just on gastric and pancreatic hemorrhaging alone, though, was it?
No.
And you did fairly refer to other circumstances just moments ago in your answer, correct?
Correct.
And we're going to get to that. So that means that your diagnosis of hypothermia was also informed by the information
He doesn't have a medical background. He is a pharmacist.
we discussed earlier that was provided to you by former Trooper Proctor in his investigation. Is that correct?
Correct.
And one aspect of that information is that he was found, Mr. O'Keefe was found in the snow, correct?
Yes.
Can I just ask a question, and maybe you don't know any answers to that, but I had problems when I was a heavy drinker. I had a lot of beginning ulcers and fatty liver and stuff like that because I drank too much. And I like to drink heavy booze. That's really not good for your stomach lining. So all of this bleeding in the gastric system and in the stomach lining and liver, we know from his own text messages, he drank a lot. Could it be like early signs of alcoholism?
That might be where Alessia is going, that these particular mucosal hemorrhages can, often in medicine, one symptom could be linked to many different issues. That's why they do differential diagnosis. You come in with, the pancreas and the gastric hemorrhaging, and, they find out you're a drinker. It might lead them to say it's, due to drinking, but because she had the information that he was outside, she might not have taken drinking into account because she also doesn't know that he's a heavy drinker. I mean, while she could probably figure that out, she's right now looking for a horse that is the name hypothermia instead of he's a drinker, which I get because she was told he was out and cold.
Yeah, but it was just when I heard that, I just got back to eating a lot of Tums and a lot of pains in the side.
So let's go to the death notification report. Am I generally correct that
Good for you.
you were?
Well, not that you went to the other side, but
I'm sorry. I will. Thank you, Your Honor. Do you recall the death notification report in this matter?
I do recall, the very initial first information that comes in. That's the death notification given to our intake staff.
Do you recall the contents of that death notification report?
Would you like me to summarize? I don't recall I don't have it in front of me, but I can tell you what the gist of it was.
Would it be helpful to you if I showed you a document that might refresh your recollection on what that, a document that may refresh
She
your
said
recollection?
sure. I don't think you heard her.
I did. Thank you, Your Honor. Next. Yeah, Coach, Your Honor.
Yep,
Thank
just
you.
show Mr. Brennan what that
Bev looks
Teresa
particularly pissy.
Dirksmeyer,
Yes.
they're showing this because in the initially
Dr.
they thought he was in a
Scordello,
domestic
would I love
violence
to-
issue.
sorry.
So I was answering Teresa Dirksmeyer. They're bringing this up because initially when the troopers called it in, they only had the glass, so they thought she had glassed him. So
And what does
they came
drinking
in-
have to do with a car accident? Again, if you're looking for a zebra called hypothermia, but there's a horse clapping around the stables called alcoholism, you might see that horse as a zebra. So that's so if they want to determine that she died of hypothermia when it actually could have been he was just a heavy drinker, that's why you need that in there.
Bev is being more cranky than Baker this morning. Lol. Completely agree. Completely agree.
You can read anything you want, but I'm just going to reference to the section that says circumstances of death.
Yes.
What I'd like you to do is read it to yourself, not out loud, and then when you just that section.
Got him.
Up to here. And once you're done, if you could kindly look up and let me know.
Okay.
We lost Baker.
He'll be back.
Okay.
Dr. Scorti-Bello, did that refresh your recollection with regard to the circumstances of death section of the death notification report?
Yes.
And you could please state now what your refreshed recollection is on that topic.
Yes. The initial intake death notification was made by a physician at the hospital. And it stated that we were dealing with a adult male that was found in a snowbank. There was note of having been at a party. There was some information as to the decedent was walking to a house. There was reference to some sort of altercation or dispute with.
Sustained.
That's right.
Jurors disregard that. Move on with this, Mr. Leslie. With this, but just move on.
Yeah, yes. In terms of the differential diagnosis concept that we were talking about before, based upon your refreshed recollection of circumstances of death as discussed in the death notification report, based upon that, did you consider whether Mr. O'Keefe could have been injured and died
You asked and I answered. Thank you.
somewhere other than the front lawn of 34 Fairview?
I'm going to allow that.
Initially, no.
So after you could agree,
Let's go to
that was a weird answer.
significance, if any, of hemorrhaging of the two organs we were talking about, the
What was the
pancreas
question?
and the stomach.
I missed the question.
Is it correct that the hemorrhaging of a pancreas can be caused by many different things?
Yes, it is.
And to be clear, you found evidence of hemorrhaging of the pancreas of Mr. O'Keefe in the autopsy, correct?
Correct.
And is it correct before the grand jury, you yourself were evaluating whether the injuries had been sustained in a different environment? Well, let me ask it this way. Do you recall what your testimony was in the grand jury about hemorrhaging of the pancreas and possibilities of injuries being sustained in different environments? Do you recall any testimony?
I'll see you at 10.
What the hell? Why did that instantly turn into a
Yeah,
sidebar?
what are they dancing around? I guess.
Prior testimony?
It's a
why
grand
are we-
jury. It's part of this case.
Yeah.
He was asking specifically to a grand jury. I think he's not getting where he wants to go with her. She's also good at answering questions and not. She's not being pushed by any side. But why is a question about her previous testimony at a grand jury all of a sudden it's a sidebar? And I didn't even hear an objection. It was just, I'll see you at sidebar.
I didn't either.
And will Bev now stand up and say, enough with the sidebars? No more sidebars. Oh, sorry, don't listen to me when I say stuff against the defense. You must.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was thinking the same if it's just me that really wants him to tie a bow on it, because he has I love he's very methodically and asking questions and disseminating and getting to, but sometimes he just takes a way long route to the answer.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out sometimes where he's going with things. And it's
I think I'm old enough to remember yesterday when Bev had a sidebar in the morning because she was having too many sidebars. By my count, this is number 6. Yeah, that's funny how she gets mad sometimes.
At the grand jury, did you testify as follows? If the injuries had been sustained in a different environment where the temperature wasn't that low, then there might have been an alternative explanation for those gastric and pancreatic hemorrhages. You recall that?
Yes.
He won that one.
Yeah, he did.
Hemorrhaging of the pancreas can also be caused by blunt force trauma, correct?
Correct.
Hemorrhaging of the pancreas can be caused by CPR, correct? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
It's possible.
Do you know what a Lucas machine is?
Yes.
And a Lucas machine is an automated CPR machine, correct?
Correct.
And it's a rather large device, correct? It gets strapped down to the chest of someone. So instead of someone having to exercise, etc., you put on a Lucas machine that goes over the chest and it automatically does the compressions, right?
Correct.
Lucas machines can cause hemorrhaging, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, wasn't a Lucas machine applied to Mr. O'Keefe?
I believe so.
And wasn't the Lucas machine applied from when the first responders came to the scene and he was in the ambulance continually and through when he was in the hospital?
oh my God.
I believe so. Yeah.
So when a Lucas machine is used in resuscitation efforts, you'd actually expect to see some hemorrhaging, wouldn't you?
Where?
In the pancreas.
In the stomach? In the pancreas? Would you expect to see it there?
Not in the mucosa of the stomach and not as extensive in the pancreas.
Let's talk about and pick the pancreas first. So you would agree that from the use of a Lucas machine, you would expect some degree of hemorrhaging from the pancreas, correct?
Not always.
But it's certainly possible that a Lucas machine causes hemorrhaging of the pancreas, correct?
It's possible.
And now let's move to, and there was evidence of hemorrhaging in the pancreas of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
Now let's move to the stomach.
Thank you, Tammy Fayette, for gifting Dawn on Me a membership.
And then thank you also to Tammy Fayette
Isn't
for
it
gifting a membership to KLF. So congratulations. Welcome to the Church of Mo.
KLF.
Possible that a Lucas machine could cause hemorrhaging in the stomach?
Personally, I have not seen it in that context.
But do you rule that out?
I can't rule it out. I can.
So the machine they used to help him could have caused the issue that she attributed to his hypothermia. Yes, but she then says it wouldn't have given the mucus bleeding. But could a kick in the stomach do that?
Only tell you my experience.
So your personal experience is you don't believe you've seen that, but you can't rule out that a Lucas machine causes hemorrhaging to the stomach. Is that correct?
I don't believe a Lucas machine causes hemorrhage to the mucosa of the stomach.
Right. I'm not yet at the mucosa of the stomach, which is a subset of the stomach, right? You're talking about the gastric rugae.
Talking about the inner lining of the
inner
stomach.
lining, and another name for the inner lining of the stomach is the gastric rugae, R-U-G-A-E, correct?
Yes.
So I'm just talking about the stomach in general, not a subset of the stomach. Is it?
Baker, you're muted, I think, unless you're talking.
Fuck it. That was because I was making some openings. Ray of Light, thank you for acknowledging it. We know some people get annoyed because we stop too much and talk too much. We will always catch up. And this is a community effort, so we like to acknowledge if there's good questions out there, or if we have to laugh at Zach because he again said something dumb.
Yeah, and you guys have a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, good questions. And thank you for the $5 super sticker of a pair that says mic drop.
That a Lucas machine could cause hemorrhaging in the stomach.
Not in the stomach, around the stomach, in the soft tissues of the torso.
Okay.
No, he has some good questions, but again, I need the bow tied on it.
So you've said that you're aware that Mr. O'Keefe was hooked up to a Lucas machine, correct?
Yes.
And are you aware of the length of time that Mr. O'Keefe was hooked up to a Lucas machine?
No, I am not.
Do you know how many compressions per minute a Lucas machine causes?
I would have to say close to 60.
Would 100 compressions per minute be a reasonable amount of compressions for a Lucas machine to cause?
Sure.
So assume 37 minutes of a person hooked up to a Lucas machine.
3,700.
And assume 100 compressions per minute. That would result in 3,700 compressions from a Lucas machine, correct?
Correct.
I did the math right. Oh, and thank you, Holly Mac, so very much. I appreciate you so very much.
Thank you, Brandon, for contributing to my Lady of the Night fund so he stopped taking his frustrations out on chat or potentially a stray animal or in that intimate object such as the statue of the Queen, and to improve general morale without all the tongue lashings and Danish gang threats. I haven't threatened anyone with Danish gangs. The rest, But I will be visiting my daughter this Saturday, and they do have certain establishments over there that cater to the discerning gentlemen.
Baker, we have to read the Yelp review sometimes. Again,
Well,
those are fun.
Oh, yeah. When we don't stream so many hours together, it's not that I don't love you. It's just it gets.
No, I totally get it.
We
I
see
do.
each other a lot. Thank you so much, Brandon. It'll
We're
go
not
into
even
buying the house
married,
fund.
too.
I see you more than I saw my ex-wife, and I like you more than I did my ex-wife. So
Fair point.
100 compressions from a Lucas machine explain hemorrhaging in the pancreas?
You could.
And that explanation could be why there's hemorrhaging in the pancreas as opposed to hypothermia causing hemorrhaging in the pancreas, correct?
Possible.
Did you consider that at all in your autopsy report, the effect of the Lucas machine? Is it written anywhere in your autopsy report?
I do consider changes due to cardiopulmonary resuscitation. The rib fractures that were observed were attributed to CPR. Usually we will see some amount of hemorrhage in the soft tissues, but in this context, with the gastric,
I think it's just a tick of hers.
I think that's how she remembers. I think she's a visual learner, so she closes her eyes, she sees the answer. I do that, so.
She closes them at weird times though. Like she'll leave them closed.
Works
and
with
answer
dead people,
questions.
y'all. Maybe she's confused with all the living around her right now.
That could be. That could be.
Yep.
Findings, the pancreatic findings, and the information that he was found in the snow with a body temperature of 80 degrees. My opinion was that those hemorrhages, along with the gastric hemorrhages and his body temperature, were consistent with hypothermia.
My question was,
It's terrible.
does your report state anywhere the words Lucas machine?
No,
And you agree that a Lucas machine could cause hemorrhaging to the pancreas,
it can cause hemorrhage in a lot of tissues,
but
Can you
including
pause,
the pancreas.
including the pancreas.
She does look a bit like Amy Fowler from Big Bang
If you
Theory.
see
A little
hemorrhaging
bit.
of the pancreas
I don't want Sheldon to show up.
and you believe that hemorrhaging,
Lucas is a manual pump. The AED shocking isn't really to start the heart. It's because it feels the heart is fluctuating, because the heart is normally beating like this, and it's caught in mid pump. So you'll slap it. That's why when you give CPR, the first pump is trying to wake to beat the heart back into normal working mode. A Lucas machine is just a big piston going up and down, compressing, so you don't have to stand there and do this. The electrical is only if your heart is fluctuating. It can't. It's not a spark that ignites your heart again. It's because your heart is kind of stuck mid squeeze, so it'll fluctuate. It'll shock it and hopefully kick it back into rhythm.
Okay, Baker, here's my issue with this. Everything he is saying is logical and would be explainable. But as a juror, how many people are going to say, they found him in snow and he was cold? I mean, I get what he's fighting for. I really do. But are the jurors just going to say, yeah, all that, but he was found in snow?
Yeah, I think he needs to tie it up, as I said. Those things scares the bejesus out of me. I dehydrated at a golf tournament, and we used all my drives. Couldn't get water, so some other guy was just like, chill, dude, sit down. We'll be done soon. Is there a follow-up to that? Did you get on the machine?
Was there a pre?
Is there a previous?
I'm
No,
trying to
but
follow. Or you drink a bottle of whiskey, don't read the Yelp reviews, and just go in and get to work.
It doesn't make sense, because that's him trying to force me to do a drunk stream.
is a contributor to hypothermic deaths.
That would be a follow-up.
Wouldn't you also expect to see Wisniewski ulcers?
I did note gastric hemorrhages.
So the court reporter needs to have a spelling of that. Doctor, can you give us a spelling of that?
Would you like to give it?
If you'd like me to, I prefer
Go
to
ahead.
do it. Thank you. WISCHN.
So I don't know how to spell that
And
shit.
those are indicators of
EWSKI.
hypothermia found in organs.
So, can you just tell the jurors what Wisniewski spots or Wisniewski ulcers are?
Wisniewski spots are small hemorrhages, small areas of bleeding in the mucosa of the stomach that are thought to be associated with hypothermia, amongst other things. They're believed to be either a reaction to stress due to the hypothermia or some form of what we call reperfusion injury.
There's always a surprise test.
Is it correct that if someone is believed to
Yeah, I saw that.
die, at least in part, from hypothermia,
Funny.
that in 90% of the cases of death from hypothermia, you would find Wisniewski's ulcers?
I do not know the exact number.
I don't think she's pissed.
That
I
you're
think
not
they think differently.
calling what the percentage is for the percent of cases for death of hypothermia that you would expect to find Wisniewski's ulcers?
I don't,
Do you recall?
Hold on.
Okay.
Move on. The objection sustained. So
Okay.
you're asking it. Yes, go
Okay.
ahead.
There were no Wisniewski's ulcers present in Mr. O'Keefe. Is that correct?
I believe there were.
Can you point anywhere in your autopsy report where the word Wisniewski appears?
I did not call them Wisniewski spots. I called them gastric hemorrhages.
Right. So you didn't use the term Wisniewski and you didn't use the term ulcer, correct? In your report at all?
No, I used gastric hemorrhages under the title of hypothermia.
Do you believe that all hemorrhages in the pancreas are Wisniewski ulcers?
Yeah.
You mean the stomach?
I'm going to start with the pancreas.
Wisniewski ulcers are the term is used to describe the gastric hemorrhages.
Right. So I want to.
Yeah, those machines. But again, you get the choice. Do you want to feel good as a corpse, or would you rather get another day? That's what these machines are designed for. But again, if you are a heavy drinker, and we know from his text messages that he just got sober at 16:30, which is 4:30 for those of you like Valhalla who doesn't understand military time. So he is, and everyone is talking about how much they drink. So I bet you, I actually had a buddy of mine whose dad died from drinking, and that's a horrible death because that's the digestive tract. That's because it gets worn down, and then it starts bleeding and it don't stop again. And that's a horrible house to come back to.
Clarify that. So now I want to move to the stomach. Do you believe all hemorrhages in the stomach are Wisniewski ulcers?
Not all of them.
Therefore, there can be Wisniewski ulcers and not be hemorrhaging, correct? Just by logic.
And not be hemorrhaging?
Correct. You can have a Wisniewski ulcer but not have hemorrhaging.
You could, but ulceration would manifest in what we call hemorrhage.
That's not
The actual appearance of it.
What I'd like to do now is, Mr. Wolf, what has been in evidence, what I'd like to do is to, with your Honor's permission, publish some depictions of first the gastric mucosa, and then start with that, Your Honor, publish that.
All right. So this is the one that we have not introduced into evidence openly, but it's sidebar, right?
What I'd like to do is I'll start out.
He's doing all this to get to time of death. No, you can't determine the time of death, and he won't get her to determine any time of death. He will. I don't think it'll work because she won't change her mind.
Well, my assumption is that the state, the Commonwealth, is going to try to say that these organs are ulcerating or ruptured due to one of two things, either the car crash, right, internal organ trauma, or hypothermia. Well, if they can prove that there's an alternative to either of those, if they can say it wasn't necessarily from the car crash and it wasn't necessarily hypothermia, well, then it could be anything, right? And that's what it sounds like he's doing.
What they need to do is show that there are multiple things that could have caused these mucosal hemorrhages. Now, what she says are Wisniewski ulcers could also be caused by the Lucas machine, and I bet he's going to go to drinking.
Yeah, and blunt force
But
trauma.
he's just going there like on slow mode because she is. With really highly specialized people, you have to ask the very correct question. Otherwise, they do not know what you're talking about because it has to be so specified.
And Brandon, I think you got a Malloy Weiss beer.
With the one that is in evidence, which is the gastric mucosa.
Okay,
start with that.
What number?
I bet the jurors never thought they would see gastric mucosa. I wouldn't.
I would never have heard about a whiskey ulcer if I hadn't followed this case.
Well, I knew about Wisniewski marks because of the Shanda Vander Ark case.
Your Honor,
I'm not smart. I just remember.
Okay, so that was the one I was referring to that we did at sidebar, not in open court. Okay.
Yes.
It's writing. It's pen and writing.
And I'd like to move into evidence at this time.
All right. All I'll say about this, jurors, is that this may be considered graphic. You satisfied with that, Mr. Lessie?
I'm satisfied with that, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Brennan, you satisfied with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
164.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Dr. Scorbello, I'm handing you Exhibit 164 in evidence, and I'm going to also, with the court's permission, have it published on the screen. So whatever one is best for you to look at the screen.
We're going to see the lining of
Mr. Wolk, if you could publish
internal organ
164.
adenum.
I don't think they'll show us.
Dr. Scorbello,
Yeah.
do you
I doubt.
recognize 164 as well, you describe what 164 is.
This is a picture of the stomach of Mr. O'Keefe after it was removed and opened and the contents were removed. And what you're looking at, this pink red surface is the mucosa. That's the lining of the stomach. And you had used the word rugae before. These are the folds. The stomach has a lot of folds. And what you can see here are small areas that are redder than everything else. That's hemorrhage, that's blood. And these are the gastric hemorrhages that I described.
Right, so those are what you just showed. There's dark areas. There's just a few of them. That is what you refer to as hemorrhages, correct?
Wisniewski's was correct.
Well, you didn't use Wisniewski's in your report, correct? You referred to them as hemorrhages.
Correct.
Okay. So what I'd like to do now is to, may I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
To the chalk.
Now, if John was a heavy drinker, he might have upset the lining or mucus of his stomach, and those can also go to hemorrhage.
That's marked for identification. Is that it?
Yes, and let's see what she answers
Or
before
if
we
he
use
had
it for more
fur.
questions, okay?
Yes. May I hand it to you?
Yes.
Dr. Scorbello, could you please take what's identified as Exhibit M and see if you can identify what that depicts?
Yes, this is a picture of a stomach. Again, the mucosa with hemorrhage.
That is so loud.
Your Honor, can we take a break?
Yes. Yes.
So, taking a break. Well, we did have court for 45 minutes, so it's probably time for a break.
Well, I mean, did the jury know they were going to come back from, lasagna substandard to see, gastric mucosa?
I know I'm a weirdo, but I don't mind it. It's
I learned I faint at the sight of blood, so that whole medic thing was probably a good thing I didn't win at basic training.
You can get a lot of this stuff from excessive stomach acid production. Take NSAIDs, etc. But if you go out, have a 20 and are walking fine, probably a little booze at play. Yeah,
Probably a little bit. Yeah.
I just know that I had a beginning also because I drank a lot, and I was on Tums all the time to try and keep, because I got gastric reflux every time I drank, so it must be because I just needed Tums, not stop drinking.
That works.
The reasoning you make when you like to drink. Not exact the
Fair
time
point.
of death, just that he died well before he was in the snow and his body's cooled down from hypothermia. You can't do that because the cooling of the body will destroy the normal telltale signs of lividity and stuff like that. And if he's left inside for, let's say, 2 hours until the Fort Edge comes and Higgins has been in the police station and they have done all the bot calls, then he would have early onset lividity and that would have a way different pattern than the one he would get out in the snow. So they won't be able to get anywhere near any potential time of death before he was placed in the snow. It'll be pure speculation, and this lady won't help him get there.
I hate to say this, but she's not used to working with the living. And I don't know how, what was Alessi's specialization in? I know he was in pharmacology, but what is his legal specialization beyond criminal?
I think he does a lot of appeals.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
He's
right.
very detailed oriented. He probably would have been the only one to spot that she didn't use Wojcinski or look the ski, the Polish dots.
Wisniewski,
Wisniewski.
I think. Is that the monster from Monster
Ethel.
Inc.? Mike
Wazowski. Mike Wazowski.
Wazowski spots. That's what we're going
I
with.
love that I have an encyclopedic knowledge of kids' movies.
It made me happy. It made me happy.
The only ordinance in my town is they don't run full code after 10 p.m. Otherwise, they'll run lights and sirens and use the air horn to say, get the F out of my way. It's just weird that they will, again, if it's a heavy traffic street, I can understand it, but I've seen that street. It's not that the only car I've ever seen out there is when people are dropped off at court and when Krusty is driving by taking pictures at 7 in the morning to prove that no one is out there demonstrating for Karen Reed in the zone where they're not allowed to demonstrate. There probably might be a reason for that. But apparently, again, I don't fully understand the new order about the zone.
Marissa,
Mike Randazza was
pointed-
on Ricada talking about it and saying that everything's back to normal tomorrow. You can just not wear T-shirts, but it's on discretion of the Canton PD or MSP or someone. I don't know. I have no. As I read it, I can't see what she's changing. At risk,
Well, it
rate,
looks
the
like
trial-
it's just going to court property. Because they had it like 200 meters out or something stupid, or even
200
further,
yards.
But now it says it's just down to the court property.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that the old zone is revoked. That's the thing I don't see. That's why I don't understand it. It says it's only amendments to page 12 in her previous order.
Which I
Or
don't
22.
Also, while we're on a break, Cape Bev, there is a poll. You get to decide whether she's going to wear the crushed red velvet Hugh Hefner pimp out jacket or a classy white, knotted at the neck, little sweater. So now Bev ain't going to stay classy all day, but she likes to start classy.
And at this rate, the trial will still be going to in Dollywood. I expected it to be going till mid-late June. So I have already cleared my calendar. Me and Valhalla will be sitting on a bench on Martin Luther King Boulevard and live streaming. Valhalla said it's one of the best hangout spots in Knoxville.
Valhalla said to go as far east as possible and get an Airbnb, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what I told you guys to do. I'm not doing that. I'm staying here. I'll meet you wherever we're going. You guys go as far east as you can. Get that B&B. Enjoy yourselves with what little time you have remaining. And
No, I'll be getting a hotel in Cedar Mills or Cider Mills.
Cedar Bluff or Paper Mill.
Cedar Bluff. There we go. I knew it had something with a C in it. My memory is as great as Jen McCabe's. I can't remember
was pretty
anything from
close.
yesterday, and my memory doesn't get better with 3 weeks. I hoped it would. I was like, 3 weeks, I'll remember stuff. Jen told me. Okay, so while we're on this, since I have the fuzzy, so they were basically crushing him 3,000 times, and she's like, "Well, it could could cause hemorrhage." You think?
Yeah. It's probably how his ribs got broken too. I would
But
assume.
Well,
he's also dead. So
Yeah.
again,
Baker, I'm not a doctorologist.
There's
I just
also
watch
No, but
House.
it's. I'm just thinking out loud because he is dead, but they could still do surface damage to the organs. And why is I restarted my internet, I restarted my computer, and still I'm just. I'm
Your
gonna.
neighbors are watching too much corn. That's what's happening. The bandwidth got down. Someone's stealing your
Maybe-
Wi-Fi.
maybe that was what the guy ringing your doorbell earlier. He was just trying to get that Wi-Fi password.
He's like, I'm right at the stacked wash machine where the stepmom's stuck. I can't leave her hanging. Or myself. Either way.
Said, dang it, I got kicked out again. I know he keeps his password on a sticky note on his computer. Let me go ring his doorbell real quick. Figure it out.
Baker's like, what? He's like, I need your password. It's like, fine.
Terrible.
We are.
Well, at least nothing happened while I was away. I just don't. I think it's a YouTube or StreamYard. I think it's a StreamYard problem because everyone I see streaming is having the same glitching. Yeah, my dial-up is really, it's screaming in the other room. Just annoying. But it's been going on for a week now with the frame drops.
It's been a few days where the audio on my goat videos get a little weird.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple videos that didn't record audio at all, but I double checked every one of them because I'm paranoid of it now, and all of them showed sound except for that one. So it's probably user error, to be very honest with you.
You probably hit your mic mute button on accident.
My boobs do tend to do that, so yeah.
Boob dials.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Boob
have
moods.
butt dials. I would have boob dials.
Outstanding.
Boop mutes. Mutes. Boop mutes.
Boob mutes.
That should be a thing if it's not.
In the Pettyverse, when Mo rules the world for just 1 year to set things right, and then y'all can take back over, it'll be a thing.
Is it, Vince? I was wondering about that, actually.
Yeah, it could be. It's a high because it's dry as F.
Oh yeah,
here
we
in
are
Denmark
getting
right now.
into a solar maximum.
Just joining. What did we learn this AM? That Dr. Scotty Bello won't be moved. She has her opinion. She wrote her report, and she's sticking by it. She'll entertain you asking about questions, but she will not say what you want her to say, no matter if it's the defense or the state. And I like her for that. Unless he's not batting 100 today.
No, but I think it's
he's
because
lost
it's
me.
so in the weeds.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It shouldn't be that. We are lost. We are the jury. And this is what I say every time all these lawyers are, hey, can you see the blah, blah, blah. Yesterday when he was doing the reflection, we were, oh my God, this is good. Today I'm sitting here thinking, ulcer, stomach lining, what if any, where are we going? And I really want you to get to a point.
This is a quick break for Bev.
$15 minutes.
Not that doofus. But my problem with this is
All right, Mr. Lessie, you can continue where you left off.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I re-approach the witness?
Yes.
Yeah, but Mads Pedersen is still in the pink jersey.
Dr. Scorty Bello, you have in front of you, which has been marked for identification as MN, and you were discussing that. Do you recognize that document? So you can sort of start over to reorient. You recognize that?
I recognize what it is, yes.
And what is it?
It is a picture of a stomach, of the mucosa of a stomach with multiple hemorrhages.
And does that exhibit fairly and accurately depict a stomach with what you have referred to as multiple ulcers?
Yes.
Your Honor, I offer that into evidence.
I I object to anybody as a chalk.
I'll, you know what, if I can use it as a public, a chalk publication. Yeah, that's what I'll do, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Do
So you
what
can
now?
have it displayed.
Thank you. And again, I'll leave this hard copy with the court reporter, and we'll use the.
Oh, so it's not in evidence.
It is not.
It's marked for identification.
Yes, marked for identification, and we are with it. Mr. Wolf? Dr. Scorti-Bello, is that the depiction that you were just describing at your witness stand?
Yes.
And could you please, with the laser pointer, state what you see in this depiction?
So this is a stomach. This is the mucosa, the fold
I did, and I answered it. Of course, we have.
of the stomach. They're not very folded in this particular picture, but you can see these distinct areas that are that have a darker coloration. That's blood. These are hemorrhages.
And to be clear, this is not the stomach of Mr. O'Keefe. This is a medical reference depiction to sort of generic or some other depiction other than Mr. O'Keefe's stomach, correct?
Correct.
If we could, with Your Honor's permission, Mr. Wolk, put side by side this chalk with what is in evidence as the actual gastric mucosa of Mr. O'Keefe.
Yes.
The objection sustained.
Could we, with Your Honor's permission, publish simply Mr. O'Keefe's
Yes.
gastric mucosa?
Yes.
Isn't it correct, Dr. Scorti-Bello, that there are much less dark spots in this depiction of the gastric mucosa than there were in the chalk that we just displayed? In other words, that
Because YouTube really don't want us to show stomach lining.
that green depiction of what I'll just refer
They
to
frown
as a
on
generic
internal organs.
stomach. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you can take that down, Mr. Wolf. Isn't it correct that for hypothermia and the presence of Wisniewski's ulcers or spots, that you have to have a predominance of the stomach covered by the spots for them to be Wisniewski ulcers?
I think there's different levels and different grades.
So he had baby hypothermia?
In hypothermia, particularly death from hypothermia, wouldn't you expect to see a predominance of those ulcers, meaning they take up most of the stomach lining? Isn't that what you would expect to see?
Not always. I have seen that. I have also seen cases with much fewer spots, as you refer to them.
But isn't the majority of the cases that you have seen where someone has actually died from hypothermia that the ulcers predominate, take up greater than 50% of the stomach?
Yes.
And what percentage of the, and I'm trying to avoid putting it up again. So what percentage of the gastric mucosa of Mr. O'Keefe would you estimate is taken up by the ulcers that you have identified?
I would say somewhere between 10 and 15%.
Just 10 and 15%. Thank you.
It should be above 50.
Now, if we
If it
could
was the main cause of death, but with the
look
I
to
don't
the issue of Continuing with
Mouth on your
hypothermia.
water bottle.
Let's go to frostbite.
I would do it, but it would be made into a meme.
Do you know any
It's only one way to
evidence
find
of
out, Mo.
frostbite on the deceased, Mr. O'Keefe?
No, I did not.
Do you know what the weather conditions were in Canton, New York on the early mornings? I'm sorry,
Massachusetts.
Canton, New York. My apologies.
He's so sweet.
Do
He's
you
like, I'm a
know the
dum-dum.
weather
Sorry.
conditions in Canton, Massachusetts, starting at midnight on January 29th, 2022, going through 6 a.m. on January 29th, 2022?
It was very cold. There was a blizzard coming.
They called it a nor'easter, right?
Correct.
And when you say very cold, in addition to very cold, do you recall whether there were gusty winds?
I believe so.
And do you understand that when there's a very cold temperature in Fahrenheit and you add gusty winds, that is called, when you apply the two together, that's called wind chill, right?
Correct.
And with wind chill, doesn't the phenomenon of wind chill mean that the wind combined with the temperature brings the actual temperature down, and in addition to bringing it down, temperature in a wind chill calculation, it also has a physical effect on the body, correct? Wind chill. Doesn't wind chill also cause greater effects than if there was no wind?
Correct.
So in medical terms, the wind synergizes with the temperature and exacerbates the effect on a human.
Correct.
And with a wind chill, wouldn't
And
you,
synergize with
isn't
the
it
monster
correct that
energy
you
brings
would
here soon.
have a greater chance of frostbite than if there was no wind chill effect at all?
Yes.
So, you saw no signs of frostbite on Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
At the time of my examination and at the time of autopsy, no, I did not.
Did you see frostbite at any other time with regard to Mr. O'Keefe?
I only examined him at the time of autopsy.
So, at the only time you examined him, which is at the time of autopsy, you had zero signs of frostbite, correct?
Correct.
That
Dr.
is
Scordi-Bell,
odd.
now that you have gone through
I didn't
your,
even think of it.
this part
Mercy,
of
you're right.
your examination here today, would you like to amend in any way your opinions as to whether hypothermia was any cause of the death of Mr. O'Keefe?
She's not.
No, I
going-
don't. I still believe that there were hypothermic signs.
Hypothermic signs, correct?
Yes.
It's the art of medicine. It's not a
I'd like to move to
constructive
another
or
topic
concrete
area,
thing.
please.
It's called practicing medicine, not winning at medicine.
You did not include in your autopsy in any fashion any discussion of whether Mr. O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with a motor vehicle accident, did you?
No, I did not.
In fact, there were no injuries consistent with a motor vehicle impact on Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Sustained.
Did you evaluate it all in your autopsy, whether Mr. O'Keefe had any injuries consistent with a motor vehicle accident? Objection.
I'll allow that.
Yes, I did examine his lower extremities. That is protocol in any case of suspected impact with a motor vehicle. So I did examine his legs and I did not see any evidence of an impact site.
And could you elaborate to the jury what you mean by no evidence of an impact site?
I'm going to sustain that objection.
What?
What do you mean in your answer, no evidence of impact injuries?
I'll allow that.
What I look for is some sort of bruise, either on the outside of the leg or bleeding on the inside after the skin is reflected in the soft tissues, or any fracture of the bones of the legs. I did not observe those things.
That was going to be my question. You did not observe any of those things, correct?
Correct.
Again, why are we here? This is dumb.
I'd like to turn to, please, the face of the decedent in your analysis that you discussed on direct examination of that area of the decedent. You talked about ecchymosis, you recall that?
Yes.
In medical literature, there's a synonym for ecchymosis that's sometimes referred to as raccoon eyes. Is that correct? Ecchymosis doesn't cause a laceration to an eyelid, does it?
No.
And Peanut.
Ecchymosis does not cause a laceration to a nose, does it?
There was an abrasion on the nose, but no, the answer is no.
Correct. So ecchymosis doesn't cause a laceration to the nose. Correct?
Correct.
Did your report at all evaluate whether there was any significance of the laceration to the eyelid that you spoke about in your direct testimony?
What do you mean?
Other than just noting that there was a laceration to the eyelid, did your report at all evaluate the potential significance, if any, of that laceration to the eyelid?
I noted it and photographed it, and it was part of the totality of the blunt impact injuries that I noted on both the...
Sorry, I was a bit distracted. We have the state's medical examiner saying no impact from a car. Can we find out the basis they used to go and say there was an impact from a car? Because they must have had someone go in front of the grand jury and said, this points to the impact from a car. If the grand jury made the indictments based on a shoe and
I mean,
a reading from the black box on an Lexus, with the ME testifying this is not impact from a car, how can this case go to where it is?
Trooper Paul said he only had his arm in his, and his, I don't know how they've, can someone get a GD like computerology and make a daggone, stick man and Toy Story this out for me? Because I'm confused.
Again, you have the ME to talk about the injury. It's not Trooper Paul who says, well, I can see a slight decrease of speed. That's an impact. If that doesn't line up with the physical evidence, because you can't just base it on a slight deceleration in a car. You have to have the injuries. Oh.
Face and the head.
I need a vibrator.
I thought he said I need a vibrator. I was like, what?
Laceration to the eyelid could be caused
I was trying to ignore it because I was like, don't giggle when he...
Laceration by definition is a blunt impact injury.
Do you believe the eyelid
Giggle away, Mo. Giggle
laceration
away.
was caused by a blunt impact injury from falling backwards and hitting one's head.
Not from falling backwards and hitting one's head, but that area at some point came in contact with a blunt object or surface.
Okay, if I could follow up on that, please. So you agree that if a person falls and hits the back of their head, that they cannot sustain an eyelid injury, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And if somebody falls backward and hits their head, they can't sustain from that impact to the back of the head a laceration to the nose, correct?
Correct.
So if we could, Mr. Wolk,
Yes,
and
yes,
with
I
your
can.
honor's
I wrote it
permission,
down.
publish,
Thank
which is
you.
already in evidence, which are
So we need to
depictions.
write it
Let's
down.
start out with, please, the laceration to the right eyelid. And Dr. Scorti-Bello, is this the laceration to the right eyelid that we've been talking about of Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And that injury could not be caused by a fall backwards and one hitting their head, correct?
No.
I'm sorry, we'll just need, and then I'm going to repeat the question. Can you state your answer again? Let me that injury to the right eyelid, that laceration, could not be caused by someone falling backwards and hitting their head, correct?
Correct.
Bear with me one moment, Your Honor. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. So, Mr. Brennan?
Why did I get a mental image of Mortal Kombat and the main guy saying "finish him" when Jackson
Your Honor, I
came?
erroneously assumed that that picture
My
was
mind
in
is a
evidence, and I would
dangerous
like
place.
to now properly lay the foundation of the.
Dr. Scorti-Bello, you see what's in front of you. Can we mark this?
So, Mr. Brennan, are you objecting to that coming into evidence? Okay, so let's just put it in evidence.
165.
Thank you.
Yeah, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Scorti-Bello, I place before you what is in evidence now is 165. Your Honor, may I have Mr. Wolk publish
Yes.
165? Thank you, Mr. Wolk.
I keep thinking he's saying Mr. Woke.
So, Dr. Scorti-Bello, that laceration to the right eyelid could not be caused by a fall backwards where someone hits the back of the head, correct?
Correct.
So that injury, you've called, what do you label that category? Traumatic, did you use that phraseology?
Blunt impact.
Blunt impact. So that's a blunt, in your opinion, that's a blunt impact injury, correct?
Correct.
So
Like a
is it
punch?
correct that injury had to occur in some manner other than falling backwards and hitting one's head?
Yes.
And is that injury consistent or inconsistent with a punch?
Yes.
I'll allow it.
Could be consistent.
Oh,
If we,
we
could
look at that.
Mr. Wokes
She did
have
put
the
qualifier
laceration
could, though.
to the nose?
But still,
I'm sorry, hold off on a moment.
is it consistent with being struck in the face with a car? Because if not,
yeah, that's
Sidebar?
Your Honor, Mr. Brennan has agreed to stipulate that this going
Okay, so like we can mark it.
disco market. I love the closed captions.
Oh, thank you.
What is Brennan going to go up there and say? So you're testifying that he was killed by a car. No, thank you.
Dr. Scordi-Bello, I have put before you what is in evidence is 166, and Your Honor may, Mr. Wolf, publish.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, ding dong.
Dr. Scordi-Bello, does that exhibit fairly and accurately depict the laceration to the nose of Mr. O'Keefe?
Yeah, it's an abrasion. I described it as an abrasion, as a scrape.
So you would classify that as a scrape?
Yes,
That scrape could not be caused by someone falling backwards and hitting the back of their head, could it?
not by a single event, no.
You can take that down, Mr. Wolf. On your direct testimony, you talked about injuries to the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And is it correct that you, in your autopsy report, did not determine the cause of those wounds to Mr. O'Keefe's right arm?
That's correct.
With Your Honor's permission, I would like to
That got weird.
Your Honor, Mr. Brennan has agreed to stipulate into evidence these two photographs. May I please have them marked as next to evidence?
The guy who does that sits at the little table is Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
There's
I wonder if
two Wolf.
Alessi has.
There's the tech guy from the defense, and there's the ARCA guy. I think one is with 2 Fs.
I'm wondering if Alessi has hearing loss because there are certain frequencies he can't hear. He's more affected by the air conditioning.
Yeah.
So, and he calls Mr. Wolf Mr. Wolk. So I'm wondering if maybe I didn't realize how old he was. Looking good for whatever
He's
age.
67 years old, so he might
Holy
have a
crap!
little.
I want to be him when I grow up, just not with the Just for Men, just for women.
He's got his diet.
Those scratches to the face.
168. Thank you.
I'm going to do the same thing if I may, Dr. Scordi-Bello. I'm going to leave these with you, but I'm also going to leave the court's permission to have them published.
Okay.
Whatever one best allow you to answer the question.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I have
You got a
Mr.
lot of-
Wolf publish those two?
Pack.
You called him Wolf there.
With regard to what is on the screen, am I correct that you noted these injuries to and these wounds to Mr. O'Keefe in your autopsy report?
Yes,
And am I correct that you noted that there was a pattern to those wounds?
correct.
And although you noted there was a pattern to the wounds, you were not able to determine the cause of those pattern wounds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Are those injuries consistent with a dog bite?
Based on our answer to the last question, ask something else.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Ask another question, sustained.
Oh, for F's sake, Bev.
Can
She's
you
like a gajillion dead people.
identify any cause of those injuries that would be consistent with what is depicted on the screen?
Objection.
So can you answer that, doctor?
I cannot.
You can take that down, Mr. Roll. Thank you. Do you recall discussing at all on your direct examination? Well, let me ask it this way. Did you evaluate at all in your autopsy a gray hoodie sweatshirt of Mr. O'Keefe?
No, I did not.
So, were you aware that there was clothing associated with Mr. O'Keefe when he came as part of the autopsy?
He did not have any clothing that came to us. The clothing was removed at the hospital and was packaged and I believe submitted as evidence.
So the clothing of Mr. O'Keefe, a t-shirt or a hoodie, didn't make its way to you?
No,
So she didn't see the clothes?
So I think there's a disconnect because most states, the ME has their own investigators, but here in Massachusetts, they have to rely on the troopers and can't do their
No,
own.
she said she had her own investigator.
Oh,
She testified to that earlier.
You were
Made sure that
unable
she got all the
to
evidence
reach
needed.
a determination as to the manner of death of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
that is correct.
So you had doubts about the manner of death of Mr. O'Keefe?
On the evidence? What the? If they that could be a big problem if that was on the demonstrative.
Looking at
It
it.
would be consistent with what is depicted on the screen. Objection.
So
Thank you.
I can't see
are you
that.
talking about closed are you
He
talking about
did
closed
not have any-
captions?
Oh, if closed caption, yeah, that doesn't. That's nothing.
Any clothes at all.
I could be
And-
very wrong.
Hoodie didn't make its way to you?
No,
Oh, on the top tab is what they're saying for the photo. Yes, on the picture, upper left corner. Thank you, guys.
I couldn't make it out.
Are those injuries
Arm with dog bites,
consistent
yeah.
with a dog bite?
It says it up here.
based on our answer to the last question, ask something else.
There should be an objection to
Of
that.
Death of Mr.
That's putting an image. That's bias. That's not okay to write that on a piece of evidence and show it. So yeah,
Well, defense didn't catch it.
You were
Or,
unable
Commonwealth didn't
to
catch it.
reach
yeah. Well, as long as they didn't see it and didn't object, then hey, it's in there
a determination as to the manner of death
because they had blurred out the body.
of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
that is correct.
So you had doubts about the manner of death of Mr. O'Keefe, and you consider those doubts reasonable?
Objection.
Sustained. Sustained.
You tried.
You were not
You
able
really-
to reach a determination as to the manner of death of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
And manner of death, as you've testified, includes the circumstances surrounding death in addition to the medical analysis that you performed.
Objection.
I'm sustaining it, asked and answered.
Annoys me.
Thank you for answering my questions, Dr. Scordi-Bello.
Oh,
You're welcome.
God, no.
Yes, redirect. Finally, save this witness.
It could be a car.
So when you
Just
said you
wait
couldn't,
on her.
is it because I said a car, not an SUV? You meant an SUV, right? But thank you.
Doctor, how many autopsies have you performed in your professional career?
At this point, more than 1,200.
When the person is brought to you, are they usually clothed?
It depends on the circumstances. If the person comes directly from their residence, they may or may not be clothed. If the person comes from a hospital where they went first for treatment, many times the person is unclothed. They may be wearing a hospital gown, but in most cases that clothing has already been removed.
If that clothing has already been processed, is it common that it would be brought to you for inspection?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained as to.
Is clothing that is not accompanying the person's body commonly brought to you for observation?
Objection, Your Honor.
So let's move on.
Yeah, but I really want to say it.
You were asked questions about your opinions relative to spots
Did everyone forget to take their Ritalin
in
today?
the organs of Mr.
What's going
O'Keefe.
on?
And you were asked about part of your statement in the grand jury.
Thursday.
When you provide statements, is it important
Mercury's
to
in
have a
retrograde.
statement in context to understand it?
Yes,
Is it important to have a complete statement rather than just part of a statement?
yes.
And when you were asked the question that counsel asked you, do you remember that grand jury testimony you gave?
I remember it was a long time ago,
Okay.
but I do remember most of it.
Do you remember when he read part of your answer? It was in response to a grand juror's question.
Yes,
And he read part to you, right? I understand your question. And my answer is that I don't know, but given the environment, so if the injuries had been sustained in a different environment where the temperature wasn't that low, then there might have been an alternative explanation for those gastric and pancreatic hemorrhages. Do you remember that?
Objection, Your Honor.
The doctor can answer that.
Do you remember Attorney Alisi read you that part of your statement?
yes.
Okay,
Do you
Lady
remember that you
McLeod.
had more to that statement that was left off when he confronted you with it?
I'm sure there's more to this.
To complete your statement, you said, but in the whole context, I believe that those are signs of hypothermia and not caused. Do you remember that completion to your statement?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. You can show her this.
I
He's,
can approach.
he's, oh my God, he's,
Ask you to take a look at part of your grand jury testimony. Do you remember?
he knows how
Attorney
bad
Alisi
this is.
Reading part of your answer back?
Objection, Your Honor.
So I'll strike that.
He keeps commenting. Why doesn't she, like she does with Dallin Jackson, says, keep the comment out of here?
Again, because he's for the Commonwealth, Baker. We've been through this.
Yeah, but it's just, she should, sometimes a lady just needs a slap, an open-handed slap.
Just look at it.
You asked about your entire answer or just part of it?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Repeat the rest of the answer that you weren't given when it's read to you.
Objection, Your Honor.
So this is phrased as refreshing recollection, so follow it appropriately.
The
Now
level
remember there
of all
was
that
more
is
to your
holy.
answer.
Have you lawyered before?
Yes,
Could you share with us the rest of your answer?
Without reading
Objection, Your
it,
Honor.
without reading it, turn it over, turn the paper over, please.
What are you doing?
First
What are you
of
doing,
all,
Bev?
that is total cheaters.
Yeah. You can refresh her memory and say, do you remember it now? She says, yes. Okay, then take it away. Don't go back and answer. So what is your answer incompleteness? This shows how bad it went. Again, we are on day 16 in a murder trial. We still don't know how we know how John O'Keefe died. We still don't know the theory of how he died. And we
Please
just
let it
saw
be Trooper Paul next.
Yeah, we just saw Bob Alessi do a masterpiece cross-examination, even though it had like an hour that you could just throw out. It could be reached in 15 minutes. But make her say none of what the state wants me to say happened. And now he's going to try and lead her heavily into saying what he wants. And come on. Alone, her exclamation, there's no evidence of being hit by a car, should instantly have thrown this case out. But we know it won't.
Do you remember the part that was left out?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Does it refresh your memory to the rest of your statement to the grand jury?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
After looking at this, does it refresh your memory to the rest of your statement you made to the grand jury?
Yes.
And could you share the rest of your statement with the jury, please?
The rest of the statement was that I have to take those findings in the context which was presented to me. So in the case of this particular case, those hemorrhages, in the context of the body found in the snow, I believe they were due to hypothermia.
Is your answer
I
more
don't think that
complete in
really
context?
helps.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You were shown a photograph of two individuals that were in the room at the time of autopsy. Do you remember that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And you were asked about certain names.
Correct.
You said that there would be a log identifying names.
It would be a log. Yes.
A log. Do you remember exactly who logged in to that autopsy?
No, she said she didn't.
No, I don't remember their names.
May I approach?
Yep, show Mr. Lessing.
As part of the end of the report.
Is it really a year since we went out drinking, Valhalla?
Your Honor, if we need sidebar to explain, we just need a moment to take a look.
I can move on and we'll come back to it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Hank,
No, no one can do it. You see the aunties do it. I saw another try to get Aiden in prison. It doesn't help. Don't do anything. It's just a waste of time.
Mentioned that Mr. O'Keefe's body temperature was a little under 81 degrees when he was brought to the hospital.
Yes, that's what the hospital records stated.
And again, a normal body temperature is?
98 degrees.
So
Hey,
there was,
Baker, can you pause
did
it real
you say there was over an 18-degree drop in his body?
well, I am off. I have finished the poll. So Classy Knotted Cream Sweater has won over Velvet Hugh Hefner Pimp Jacket for Bev at the Cape.
I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
I know I'd say
Temperature.
something weird and I have to, but I'll be listening. Thank you guys. You're going to get me through physical therapy.
Correct.
Yay.
Hell yeah.
You shared with us that you generally understood it was a blizzard and cold outside. Do you have any experience on how rapidly a body temperature will drop outside?
The body temperature.
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. School.
No, it's within the scope. Let's see if she's got the basis for it.
The rate that the body loses heat depends on a number of factors. Depends on conditions, weather conditions. It depends on the original temperature of the body, and the higher the gradient between the body temperature and the environmental temperature, the faster the drop will occur.
Should be a
You
lot
asked if there's any
faster
signs
than
of frostbite. There was
18
no
degrees and
type of
5
freezer
hours.
burns or anything on Mr. O'Keefe's body, was there?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was there any type of burns on his body that would suggest that he was put in some type of machine or environment where there was cooling, mechanical cooling?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Brennan.
What?
What the
You
fuck
were
is this
shown
guy
a
on
photograph of
about?
chalk that had spots on them. Do you know where that photograph came from?
I do not.
Do you know who that was from, what person that was from?
No, I do not know the context of that picture.
Do you have any information on the circumstances which led to that condition?
I do not.
Do you have any information about what caused the condition that you saw on that chalk?
I have seen similar pictures in textbooks depicting gastric hemorrhages or Wisniewski spots.
You were asked about your role as a medical examiner, and there were a number of questions about your assessment from a legal perspective.
Yes.
You mentioned that you had information from a police report. How many police reports were you given?
There was a preliminary police report, I believe, the day of the autopsy, and communications with law enforcement in the days and weeks following.
Yeah, I approach.
Yes.
I think he saw some injuries that he then tries to. Maybe you shouldn't have accepted the 30 pieces of silver.
Yes.
What is it?
This is a police report on this particular case.
Is that a police report from your file?
Yes.
And that police report, is that the police report that you considered?
Amongst other information, yes.
How many lines is that police report?
11.
What's the date and time of that police report?
This was initiated on January 29th. It says at 1941.
I have this marked for identification, all right?
Okay.
And what's another document?
Let us mark it.
Oh, sorry, let me have that back.
2Q for identification.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Second document, was that another document in your file?
Yes,
And is that another report to be considered?
yes,
How many lines is that report?
5.
So a shitty police report.
Move to have this marked for identification.
Shocking.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the RR.
Whose
for
name's on
identification.
it? Proctor, Yuri's, or Tully's?
May I approach again?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the questions I asked you about logging in and refreshing your memory.
Mhm.
And hand you a document. I'm not going to actually read it aloud. I'm just going to ask you to look at it.
He does come off as kind of desperate this afternoon.
Does
Yeah.
it refresh your memory on people who attended the autopsy?
Yes.
And who were they?
I believe one person was Mr. Keefe and the other one was Mr. Corner.
Mr. Corner? Who's Mr. Corner?
No idea.
Are you part of the criminal investigation team?
No, I am not.
Did you go to the scene and evaluate any evidence?
You
I
already
did not.
asked about
Did you do
this.
any of your own detective work or investigation in this case?
No, I did not.
So when you were asked questions about your role as the medical examiner in your medical evaluation of Mr. O'Keefe's body, you were also asked whether you considered any part of the legal aspect. Do you remember those questions?
Yes,
You were never, well, let me ask you. You submitted the death certificate on April 14th.
correct.
I want to talk about some of the things that you may or may not have known about or considered at the time you wrote your death certificate or filed your death certificate. Were you informed or were you aware that before you filed your death certificate, there was information in the investigation that police spoke to a first responder by the name of Timothy Nuttall, who reported that the defendant
I'm going to allow it.
said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Were you aware of that
I became aware of it at some point.
during your 90-day window?
I believe so.
Were you aware
And she
that there
still
was another
didn't
first
see it as
responder
an
by the name of
as a
McLaughlin
murder.
who provided information that the defendant said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
Yes,
So he's just
Were
going
you
to say
aware of
this like
statements
4
made
times?
by the defendant, to Ms. McCabe, that she said, may have I hit him? Did I hit him?
Objection, I may approach, please, briefly.
Okay.
particular first.
Oh, sorry. I thought they went to sidebar.
Investigation regarding alcohol consumption. The defendant, while
Let you know that like other evidence that was let in previously, this is not coming in for the truth of what's in the statements. It's coming in so that as it goes to Dr. Scortibello's knowledge and state of mind at the time of her report.
thank you. At the time of your death certificate that you filed, were you informed that a Jennifer McCabe had reported that the defendant said, did I hit him or could I have hit him multiple times?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
I don't believe I knew about Miss McCabe.
Did you learn that Ms. McCabe reported later that the
Objection,
defendant,
she
while
just
speaking to
testified
first
not
responders,
to know it.
reported that she had hit him? Did you know that?
I was aware of that information later on.
Were you aware of the investigation regarding alcohol consumption?
Yes,
Were you aware that the police or Massachusetts State Police spoke to other witnesses about their observations that night?
about their,
Their observations?
yes,
Were you aware of an interview by Trooper Buchanan with firefighter Daniel Whitley on February 7, 2022?
I don't remember.
Were you aware that Mr. Whitley told the police that the defendant
So now he just gets to testify about other people's testimony, and she can sit and say, "No, I don't know," which that wouldn't be allowed in Denmark.
expressed that she had gotten into an argument with the defendant that night?
That was part of the information I was given, yes.
Were you aware of a report from first responder Anthony Amate about statements made by the defendant to him?
I don't recall that particular first responder, no.
And you still didn't find it reasonable.
Were you
to say.
aware of statements?
Apparently, Tuesday got canceled. Thursday got canceled. Not for everyone. Some people did get to that point of the day.
Provided by Kerry Roberts to the police that the defendant had called her, citing Kerry, John is dead,
Yeah, I was given that information,
and the questions of did I hit him? Were you aware of that?
yes.
Recross should
Be
just
aware-
be. So now he has testified about all this. Do you still hold on to your conclusion? There's no evidence he was hit by a car. Mic drop, sit down. Brennan blamed Alessi for Bev's missing.
Information that
Well played, Brandon. Well played, Brandon.
troopers had an opportunity to go and speak to the defendant.
Yes,
Were you aware of the statements that she made to the troopers?
not in detail.
The details they didn't put in their report either.
Yeah.
Were
Somebody
you
might
aware
have
that when
said
they
something,
spoke
but
on January 29th, she informed that she had a broken taillight on her vehicle but did not know how it happened?
Objection, Your Honors.
I'll allow that.
Yes, I was provided with that information.
Were you provided the information that she had never observed John enter the residence?
I believe that was part of the original information, yes.
Why is he
Were
just?
you aware that she informed relative to the broken right taillight she didn't know how it happened?
Yes, I was.
Were you aware that members of the Massachusetts State Police obtained John O'Keefe's phone and did a forensic data analysis on it?
I was not aware of that until much, much later.
After you filed your report?
Correct.
Were you aware of location data that was obtained from John O'Keefe's phone before you filed the death certificate?
No, I was not.
Were you aware of healthcare data on John O'Keefe's phone before you filed the death certificate?
No, I was not.
Were you aware of battery temperature data on Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone before you filed your death certificate?
No, I was not.
Were you aware of voice messages left on John O'Keefe's phone from the defendant before you filed your death certificate?
No, I was not.
Were you aware of text messages between the defendant and John O'Keefe before you filed your death certificate?
No.
Were you aware of statements from the defendant to various media outlets before you filed your death certificate?
No, I was not.
Did anybody ever come to you after you filed your death certificate and ask you to change it?
No.
Did anybody ever provide you any of this additional information you weren't aware of at the time, ask you to evaluate it, and then reconsider your finding?
Oh, that should definitely open the door to get those Proctor texts in. I would think.
You were asked some questions about impact injuries. In your experience, are most pedestrian collisions where there's injuries to the lower legs, either frontal or rear impacts?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow that because I'll allow that.
most pedestrian fatalities that we see are with impact with the front of the vehicle.
When you gave the perspective that you looked for impact injuries, was that with consideration of your experience that most collisions are frontal impact injuries?
Most collisions involve frontal impact, yes.
How about cases where you've had an opportunity to observe people who sustained injuries from being clipped? Not hit, but just being clipped. Is your opinion any different in your experience?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Sustained in that form.
Okay. How about a side swipe?
She said
Is
no indication. I hope she does it again. I said it weeks ago. These guys need to clear their schedules and make time for jail so they can loudly object to this horse manure in open court. Yeah, this they should burst out right now. Your Honor, he is clearly trying to change the testimony, and this shouldn't be allowed. But I'm glad that we opened the door for Proctor and his shitty emails. Thank you, Brennan, because I inferred that was what you meant. Especially the shitty emails part.
He had to have, right?
Relative to your
She doesn't let him ask
expectations
about it
to,
now.
to
That's-
lower
that's
extremity
bullshit.
injuries.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
A bruise on the knee. Is that
Notice he
consistent
didn't-
with a side
He
swipe
didn't
impact?
object to that either when he asked.
Could be.
Did you do any type of biomechanical analysis of
That's not her job. You
any
punk.
alleged collision in this case?
No, I did not.
Were you asked to?
I'm not qualified to do that.
And so when you talk about injuries from a collision, are you in part speculating about what could happen to somebody?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained in that form.
Are you giving a direct opinion in this case about how the injuries were caused?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You were asked questions about a nose laceration,
Yes,
and you offered that was not consistent with falling backwards on the head alone.
correct,
You were asked if that was consistent with a punch.
correct.
Objection, Your Honor.
That's not the testimony. That's your objection. Mr.
That is, Your Honor. There's not a question.
Did you provide an opinion that it could be consistent with a punch?
I did provide that opinion.
Could it be consistent with broken glass?
It's possible.
Could it be consistent with sharp shards from broken plastic?
Possible.
Could it be consistent with first aid?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Could it be consistent with first aid treatment?
No,
Anything is possible.
no, it's no. What first aid treatment do you do to the eyelid, you complete moron? Oh, let's look if his eye is. You don't. Oh, let's just bang him in the eye. I liked you because you weren't doing the live. By the way, your good friend Coffee Daffer wished everyone a nice day, so I asked him, because I knew you were wondering about it, if she will be discussing age of consent again today on her show, and if she, as a former Fed, found it appropriate that her co-host was laughing about banging a minor. So, well, someone should have waited to bang a minor. But so did Hank just open the door to the text about the witness being called an amateur? He's really desperate. In a reasonable world, yes. In Bev's court,
Who knows?
I
But
would
he asked
argue
specifically. He asked her specifically if anybody had attempted to change her mind,
yeah,
and that very obviously happened.
it should be allowed in.
Especially
he
with how
bought it.
loose she's been with the Commonwealth doing it to Yannetti or whatever, this trial and last. You open the door, Mr. Yannetti.
Yeah,
Mr. Jackson, whoever the hell it was.
yeah, Mr. Jackson. Yeah, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe he did the good old Rocky cut the eyelid.
Do you have any firsthand knowledge of how the laceration on the nose happened?
I do not have firsthand knowledge.
Did you know at the time you filed your death certificate that there was plastic pieces of taillight found near Mr. O'Keefe's body around 5:45 p.m. on January 29, 2022?
I do believe some of that information was communicated to us, yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lessie.
Give us 20 good minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Scorti-Bello, Attorney Brennan just asked you questions about alcohol consumption. You had the opportunity to evaluate the medical records of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
And you had, in terms of the medical records, information with regard to the medications that Mr. O'Keefe had taken, is that correct?
I believe I reviewed those records at some point prior to issuing my report, yes.
Do you recall the list of medications that were in the medical records that Mr. O'Keefe was on?
I do not recall.
If I were to show you a document, might that refresh your recollection as to the list of medications?
I'm going to allow it. Is in connection with alcohol too, you said, right?
Correct, Your
Go
Honor.
right ahead.
Marissa, this is a good Christian channel. Don't you bring all that nastiness in here.
Yes.
Dr. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Dr. Scorti-Bello, may I stand by the witness here?
Yes.
Not Adriana
Dr.
Chetnik.
Scorti-Bello, I am providing you with a document. Up at the top it says John O'Keefe, and I would like to draw your attention to medications. And to expedite it, I am going to focus on the fourth item on that list. Can you state what that medication is?
The fourth item is omeprazole.
Does that refresh your recollection as to one of the medications Mr. O'Keefe was on?
Yes,
And that medication is,
it's an antacid.
right, and so omeprazole is the trade name of omeprazole Pepsid?
I believe so.
And Pepsid is a proton pump inhibitor,
Correct.
and a proton pump inhibitor stops the proton pump in the stomach from releasing acid, correct?
Yes.
And we're going to come back to that in just a moment, but do you also recall testifying at the grand jury with regard to alcohol consumption and potential alcohol consumption of Mr. O'Keefe?
I do remember testifying, yes.
And do you recall what your testimony was with regard to alcohol consumption and small ulcers in the stomach potential?
I have done one Bible on a budget with Jamie. I'm a good Christian channel.
Associated with alcohol consumption.
Alcohol consumption, I don't recall my exact words at grand jury, but alcohol consumption can lead to gastric ulcers.
And alcohol consumption can lead to gastric ulcers. And what medications can treat gastric ulcers?
Well, they don't treat them, they prevent them, but that would be a proton pump inhibitor such as omeprazole.
Right. So, isn't it correct, therefore, that the ulcers that are observed in the stomach of Mr. O'Keefe that we talked about, the gastric mucosa, could have come from ulceration due to alcohol consumption?
It's possible.
as opposed
Everything is
to
possible.
hypothermia, correct?
Correct.
That was a good catch, and I don't know if the jury caught it. That he was on something to prevent what she connected to hypothermia. Why would he be treating hypothermia-related ulcer problems before he got them?
Attorney Brennan asked you questions moments ago, and actually several of them, of which included the words, did I hit him, could I hit him? Do you recall those questions?
I do.
And isn't it correct that you had that information before you issued your final findings in this matter in April of 2022?
Yes, I did.
So, even though you had all that information, you still were unable to conclude the manner of death of Mr. Keith, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Dr. Scordi-Bello.
All right, doctor, you are all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm going to see counsel at sidebar.
It'd probably be it for the day, huh?
Yeah, it's 1:45. But
Into this case, that today, I'm told that we are on schedule. So with that, I'm going to let you go a few minutes early. So please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and be very careful with your social media. So we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Request for the jury.
Say,
Oh.
30 fine
we have a special
that
after lunch special.
Oh,
Can we get there?
All right,
she
so
looks
Mr.
tired.
Lessie, I'll hear you. I'll hear you, Mr. Lessie.
Thank you, Your Honor. The topic I would like to raise with Your Honor is the timing and nature and significance of the information that the defense has received from the firm Aperture. And Your Honor may recall there are two individuals on the witness list that we understand are to testify in this matter. First is Dr. Judson Welcher, and the second is Shannon Burgess.
And are they testifying in reverse order, though, than what you said?
My understanding is, Your Honor, yes. That
Okay.
My understanding, Mr. Brennan has the best information, is that it's proposed that Mr. Burgess testifies first and Dr. Welcher testifies thereafter.
Okay?
So the Commonwealth has established in reports right up until not established, they had stated in the reports of Aperture, particularly the slide presentation of Dr. Welcher, a trigger called 1162.2 that they had associated in the report of Dr. Welcher with a specific time. And that specific
right now,
time
or
that
is this
they have
earlier?
associated
This is after they ended.
with that trigger
today.
is
It's 2 minutes ago, 1 minute ago.
12:31:38 to 12:31:43. And we have been assuming that information, and this is from best memory, but I believe it's slide 137 or so, where the statement is in the slide. And so we have proceeded with our defense. We have proceeded with the work that has been assigned to ARCA based upon that time period. On May 8th, not too long ago, Your Honor, we received an amended report
of Shannon Burgess that pushes that time period. I'm just going to get it. So, although it was dated May 8th, we received it actually on May 11th. And in that report, Mr. Burgess states that he is making an amendment, and he is now stating that that infotainment trigger of 1162.2 is further back in time, and it is past 12/31/43.
Do you have the time?
I'm going to get the exact time, Your Honor. It is 12/32/16. And Your Honor may recall that the seconds, literally seconds, matter in the analysis of many factors. I won't go into them other than to say I went through and developed testimony with regard to the cross-examination of Mr. Whiffen. He had a timeline. He talked about much human volitional conduct. Suffice it to say that that information is literally by seconds determinative in some ways of various analysis. So we basically commissioned, if you will, ARTA to be looking at matters based upon the infotainment trigger 1162.2.
This is
It's
the
supposed
black
to
box
be-
in the car where they claims they can see when she hit him. But the problem is they finished their report before ARCA delivered their report by, remember, Bev was yelling at them to get it ready, and then they turn over the new report, changed report the day after, which they shouldn't be allowed to. And Bev should throw this out and say, you can't change this, especially Hanky, you
Not now.
fucking stanky, because you were the one crying about trial by ambush. So this won't be allowed in. ARCA will get 2 weeks to amend their report based on your new information. But in reality, she'll say, well, it's minor details.
Of 12/31/38 to 12/31/43 is as of May 11th, we received information that has changed that. Now, Your Honor, that is a Rule 14 violation, among other issues, but I wanted to start there. It's a Rule 14 violation. It's obviously, as I stated, an amendment of a report of a significant matter. And also, with regard to the defense's ability to provide a defense, we have to be able to
Rebut.
to evaluate that information in terms of our entire defense. And it's just not limited to ARCA, it's our entire defense. The other data point I want to get to, so the effect it's had, we still haven't even been able.
Just want to remind you, ladies, if you break Alessi's hip in a bed in Florida, that's automatically a felony assault at best. Be careful out there. Yeah, because there's an enhancer if they are over 60
Senior
years.
citizens. Yeah.
Thank you for this important knowledge, ladies.
To evaluate entirely that. And I believe, Your Honor, based upon the information that I have, that this may have been a calculated matter by the Commonwealth, but even assuming it's not calculated, the effect is pronounced. So what I want to do, Your Honor, is to look at what the reason Mr. Burgess has given, which leads me to be very concerned about a calculation and a strategy calculation here. Mr. Burgess states in his own words that the reason why he is changed, that time is being changed, is to, quote, align the trigger with Mr. Whiffen's analysis. And Mr. Whiffen's analysis is based upon the extraction data from Mr. O'Keefe's phone. And I believe it's undisputed that the extraction from Mr. O'Keefe's phone occurred years ago. And the data from that has been extant, it's been available years ago. So to me, Your Honor, that basis can't be a proper basis at particularly this stage where we are approaching the end of the trial, just literally days before the testimony of Aperture. And we are in a very, very almost impossible, challenging situation. So, Your Honor, there are obviously, Your Honor knows the situation here. Our first request is that the May 8th report that we received on May 11th be not allowed, that it be not considered at all. As Your Honor knows, I don't like to use hyperbolic words, but the word has been used for us, against us, ambush, ambush, ambush. If there's ever an example of an ambush, this is it. And so, Your Honor, our request is that Your Honor find a Rule 14 violation, that Your Honor have the remedy be that the violation, remedy be that this is not allowed, and that the Commonwealth proceed with its the information of Aperture that has been extant before the May 8th date of the report. Thank you.
All right. Do you have another option if that's not something that we do, right? Because the Commonwealth moved to exclude ACA or have them go by their old report, right?
Right. And Your Honor, I'm going to answer your question, but with just a quick point that this is really much different than ARCA because two reasons. We are the defense, and ARCA is a rebuttal to the prosecution's case. That is much different than a prosecution changing its theory of the case at this time.
I understand that. I'm just asking if you have another option.
It's not what I am saying that I am proffering. I think the only remedy here is exclusion and a Rule 14 violation.
And you're not waiving that?
Oh, I'm not waiving that.
No, I'm not asking you to.
Your Honor.
Okay, a continuance for how long?
I could have a better answer perhaps to that question tomorrow. I haven't given what's been going on. I haven't even had a chance to talk to ARCA.
All right, so tomorrow morning, let me know that. All right.
Continuance. Mistrial.
In Your Honor, I will do that, of course. And I will also say, without getting into an elaboration of it, we have to look at all the witnesses that we called. I'll give you an example. Mr. Whiffen. I had my whole cross-examination, not whole, but a significant part of my cross-examination of Mr. Whiffen based upon going through human volitional conduct off that phone that was after that 1162 trigger. And a lot of our defense in theory is based upon that's been in existence now for several months. And again, I go to the bottom line that the proffered reason in Mr. Burgess's report is to align with the data on Mr. O'Keefe's phone, and then that's been around for a long time. So that's my answer to Your Honor's question.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brennan.
Slimy piece
Your
of
Honor,
shit.
this disclosure is not a Rule 14 violation. The Commonwealth, just like the defense, is entitled, continues to work on their case and study their case as time goes on.
You are the guy who cried in court 4 weeks ago claiming that you couldn't proceed because ARCA was still working on their report. Bev, you better slap him.
The relevance of this issue has been clear throughout the case, including my opening statement. And the issue is...
No, you have had two different times, 1231 and 1232. You are an idiot, sir, and you are doing trial by ambush, the thing you cried about.
That clocks are different. There is a clock in a Lexus that runs on a different time than that of an iPhone. If you recall, in my opening statement, I talked about the fact that there are variances between those clocks. So instead of a moment that coincides happening at the precise second, sometimes there's a variance of time between the two. So the Lexus
Your expert
clock
knew
would be
this
at a
before the
variance
trial
with
started.
an iPhone, but the
They knew
event
this
still
before
could happen
the
at
last
the
trial
same time,
started.
given the clocks have different times. The defense provided a report by a person by the name of Mr. DeSorga, a noted expert witness who they've listed as a witness they may potentially call. Mr. DeSorga wrote a report, and in the report he suggested, based on his analysis, that Mr. O'Keefe's phone always ran late. That means if the texting data, the black box data from the car, has a event at 12:32:38, 12:31:38, and Mr. O'Keefe's last movements were 12:32:16, last user interaction 12:32:09, there is a variance between those times. We asked our expert to review their expert's report to see if he was accurate, that the variance means that these times would never align. And that's what he did. He studied the data, he studied the way.
Didn't Lally attack that last year and say it wasn't true? Because the defense used that last year and said there was time differences. And I can't with this
He
case.
studied the Lexus black box relative to the time.
Remedy, bring in the old report, make the expert explain his try to understand for reasons X, Y, and Z, problem solved. Yeah, let him just use his old report, because he cannot have been unaware about the differences in the clock because it was used in the first trial by the defense.
He's literally known about it for years. This isn't new.
This guy should be admonished, and at this point, she should dismiss the case with prejudice, because it's clear that they are just dirty bastards.
Doesn't change anything,
won't.
doesn't change the data whatsoever, just adds to the time. What he learned from his opinion is that Mr. DeSorga was wrong. He used information from different phones, not recognizing the items that these timelines came from, and that his time estimates are wrong. So then he looked at the time of the event of the ignition on and off, and he compared that to the Waze data. And when he did, he found that he could identify what the actual differential was. Instead of guessing that it was within the 30-second window, it was somewhere around 21.
Liv clearly just wants to go home. She'll have one of her clerks put the transcript into ChatGPT and write her opinion. I'll make my decision later. Well, she'll wait for Alessi for tomorrow, but if she waits for tomorrow, Alessi will have citations ready. And she knows this.
Only 5 seconds. And that 7 minutes before the collision, Mr. O'Keefe's phone was 21 to 29 seconds ahead, which means you subtract that time, which puts it in the same variance that we've been arguing from the beginning, that the collision occurred at the same moment when Mr. O'Keefe last had user interaction, and that reconciles with the data. It does not change the text screen data or the black box information on the car whatsoever. It does not change ARCA's analysis whatsoever. We received this report on May 8th. I was surprised to receive it. I welcomed it. We turned it over on May 8th. There was no delay. It's been a week now. The defense has had this information. And
Somebody's lying.
This is not an attempt to align anything. While it may reconcile or identify that variance more closely, it doesn't change any data whatsoever. And so this is not a Rule 14 violation. The effort was in response to disclosures that we believe were wrong.
Yeah, it was
by
5 seconds late and 20 minutes, 20 seconds ahead.
And it is favorable for us. And so we should be able to use it.
Did you intend to use it in your case in chief, or only if this witness disorder? I don't remember reading that name, so I don't know how to pronounce it.
Case in chief. On my case in chief, because we now have this available data. As I said, this wasn't ambush. It isn't something that we sat on. It was in response. Fortunately, we received their expert report, which caused us to focus more closely. And now that we've identified that variance, rather than having an open variance of 30 seconds, we should not be precluded from favorable information that has been provoked by a report by the defense.
Okay. Yes.
I'll do it quickly.
Okay.
Attorney Brennan has provided a lot of information, and he has accurately provided information, but he's got the time completely wrong and the significance respectfully completely wrong. I'm going to hit his 4 categories quickly. He said, he referenced Mr. DeSorbo, who is a defense witness. Two points about Mr. DeSorbo. First, Mr. DeSorbo provided his expert report within this reciprocal discovery deadline.
Okay.
And he provided that report months ago.
Okay.
So if, as I heard Attorney Brennan, he's saying the reason why we're getting something on May 8th is because Mr. Burgess supposedly is responding to that. That was months ago.
Okay.
The more apt point is, or an even more apt point is, Mr. DeSorbo was responding to the information of Aperture. It wasn't like Mr. DeSorbo was coming up. He was rebutting as defendants do. So, and it's Mr. DeSogra, D-I-S-O-G-R-A. Again, D-I-S-O-G-R-A. So that's an important point with regard to Mr. DeSogra. Now I want to go to Attorney Brennan's comment about clocks are different. I agree with Attorney Brennan on that. The shortcoming for Attorney Brennan's argument, however, is that the clocks are different concept has been in existence in this case for over 6 months. I can give you by memory Mr. Whiffin's report of December of 2024, where his report went into the different clocks and what their significance was. So that is...
Well, $1,100 could probably buy me a ticket, and then $1,100 for the amount of alcohol I would have to drink to legally drive in Massachusetts. $1,100 for hotels, and some bail money when me and Brandon goes out after.
Almost 6 months ago, at least 5 months ago, the issue of different clocks has been in existence in this case. So therefore, the issue of different clocks dates back to then. But even more fatal for the Commonwealth's argument is that Mr. Burgess himself issued his report and talked about the difference in clocks. He already knew it. He already had it.
Did he testify to that last time? Did he testify?
Aperture was not part of the first trial.
All right, I thought Burgess was, no?
No, neither.
Okay.
No one from Aperture was.
I knew
Your Honor.
Aperture wasn't. I thought he may have been something. The name just sounded.
Neither Burgess nor Welcher were part of the first trial. But they were retained. Aperture was retained, I believe, in October of 2024.
Okay.
And at best for the Commonwealth, Aperture had, and Mr. Burgess and Dr. Welcher had Mr. Whiffin's report that talked about the clock differences. So the clock differences cannot be, as the Commonwealth is proffering, some sort of new information that caused Aperture to provide a new report. This variance that Attorney Brennan talked about, it's called the clock drift. A more layperson's term is a variance of time.
You might get away with
Mr. Burgess, in his original report months ago, has a whole section on clock drift. That's not a new concept for him. He's just changing the drift.
Okay, so what I'd like to do, because I want to address the other issue and I don't want to keep people here too long, can you wrap it up, Mr. Alessi, or is that?
In 60 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the last point I wanted to make, and I think I heard Attorney Brennan correctly, is he said he was surprised that he got this report dated May 8th. That's what I heard. So if the Commonwealth is surprised that they got it, that should mean, to me, Your Honor, be an outstanding fetching reason to not allow it because they're surprised to get it. And I can lastly say this, Your Honor, there's nobody that's more surprised to getting this than the defendant when we got it on May 11th.
Okay, thank you. The other issue about,
So we will have a voir dire tomorrow where Hank and his expense will fly in them and tell why they didn't look at the evidence they were provided 6 months earlier, right? Bev, remember when you yelled at the defense? Can we see all the emails, all the phone calls, all the text messages, find out if anyone in that company ever used the Signal app? Let's see if they got paid to do
If it was
that
a
job.
surprise, they should be able to provide any text messages to prove and verify that it was a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
calling your expert on rebuttal, Mr. Brennan, based on the late disclosure of the ARCA materials. What's your argument on that?
Not the ARCA
The
materials.
entire past, but Your Honor has found discovery violations. Your Honor has found that I want to phrase this properly, the efforts of the defense were improper. And inevitably, we've now received an extraordinary amount of discovery on the most important issue in this case, well beyond the...
So now you're blaming the defense. You just were told that all of this was already in the case. I remember them talking about the clocks a year ago. I was at this time, I was getting ready to go out and eat catfish burgers and drink beer with Valhalla. And I watched the trial that day. I was sitting on the Lanai in Knoxville, and we talked about all these things. We talked about the clocks. We talked about the defense claiming that there was a gap, and that's why you couldn't use the Waze alone. You couldn't use the iPhone alone. And now you just got magically sprung a whole new bunch of evidence that's already been in the case for more than a year. I know she's not going to do it, but she should go cray-cray.
She had a conniption fit towards Jackson, right? She laid the smack down at Jackson. Jackson was intentionally doing ambush trial, yada yada yada, right? She actually put the smack down on him. That was weeks ago.
Yeah. And now
Brennan's
he is allowed to do Rule 14 violations because Jackson did, which is still a bullshit ruling she made on that claim as well.
Yes. And she better do it to Brennan too. She better. Yeah. This is weeks after.
Deadlines without any excuse. And the court, understandably, has overruled government suggestion and has stated that it's going to allow the defense to proffer 2 expert witnesses in a very complicated field, in an issue that is the heart of this case. We're going to allow them to testify, despite the fact that we have not had the time to review, and to prepare, and to address it. The Commonwealth has the burden of proof. The Commonwealth has
you're not doing really well on that one.
This case beyond a reasonable doubt. And this isn't simply late disclosure of some evidence.
You should have had that set before you started the trial, man.
And so
this asshole is trying to throw everything at the defense now.
As you know, he was away. He did not get a report until maybe May 7th. He did not have a chance to look at it until May 9th. An extraordinary amount of work, effort, and expense has gone into preparing our case for the jury.
Crimea River, you fucking idiot.
He is still in the process of reviewing the
can read
materials.
$3 million.
There are entirely new subject areas within this information, well beyond the simple 4 opinions that they gave at the beginning. There are studies, there are demonstrations, there are experiments. This requires not only review, but an analysis, testing, vetting, and then preparing testimony to address the claims made by the defense experts. Not to get into a battle of disparagement, but our expert has found extraordinary issues in his first reviews of material.
Yeah,
and
of course he has.
Some of those concerns lead him to...
Sounds like he has no idea what he's doing.
...to actually conduct his own tests to demonstrate the failures of these ARPA witnesses. That's going to take time. You've heard from the ARPA witnesses themselves. With the amount of data they received, they estimated they needed 5 weeks. And they were given 5 weeks despite all the discovery.
They just got a late report that the state then claims they couldn't have done before, even though they had all of the evidence. And now he's flipping it, saying it's not about that. It's actually about how bad the decision Bev made to allow ARCA to rebut his shitty investigation, that he had to go back and then change his statements because he got the report from ARCA, which was way too complicated and shouldn't have been allowed. But of course they allow it. He's just an idiot, and she should be stopping him right now, like she does with Alessia, and say, this isn't gonna fly. You don't have to come back tomorrow. I'm gonna dismiss this. You have violated Rule 14 motions. You can't bring your expert. Really sings when he cries wolf.
Deadline violations. They were given 5 weeks. We did not get the report until May 7th. And so we believe we are entitled to have our expert review all the materials, do his testing, provide opinions. None of that is going to happen anytime soon because he still has not finished reviewing all the materials. There's many, many gigabytes. He is in a difficult schedule. He is away tomorrow, Saturday.
Then you can use your money and hire another expert.
At the end of the weekend. There is no way he's going to be able to testify anytime soon and have all of this validation and vetting and testing.
So what is it exactly you're proposing?
So what we would like to do is have him testify about what he has prepared, that he's had adequate time to prepare. If either of these ARPA witnesses testify and they introduce new opinions, new testing, new demonstrations, he should be able to continue reviewing the materials, actively engage his own testing now. So by the time the defense case is over, he will be prepared to come back and address the new issues, not the older issues or regurgitate his testimony, but to address any new issues that were provided in violation of discovery orders, and so that he can then address.
How does he say there was no violations? Discovery.
I see no other way of this expert fairly being presented to the jury. The unfair prejudice cannot be cured in any other way.
The unfair prejudice is from you idiot.
Continuous review, offer rebuttal opinions on anything that is new and not to encroach on anything that's been previously provided.
Can Burgess testify after Welcher?
No, because Dr. Welcher relies on Shannon Burgess' information material. It will make no sense. I thought about it. It makes no sense to the jury, his presentation, unless Shannon Burgess has an opportunity to provide background information.
None of your presentation has made any damn sense.
Mr. Lassie, I'll hear you on this.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the and I understand that it's very well understand the time of the day, so I'm going to do this hopefully efficiently. When we're talking about ARPA and the information of ARPA, it's very important analytically to put them in their two proper buckets. The first bucket is the information and opinions of ARPA that have been in existence since February of 2024.
Yeah, let's focus on the beyond. Let's focus on.
Okay, good, because my pithy conclusion is there should be no prejudice on that.
And I don't think the Commonwealth's even suggesting that. So
we're focusing just on the quote new information bucket. Your Honor, it's very important to understand that what ARCA is doing is in response to the testing of Aperture. ARCA did not come up with new approaches. We, again, to state the obvious, are the defense. We get to rebut what the prosecution has put forward. And so what ARCA has done with the new information, new testing, is simply to rebut what Aperture has done. So I do not understand the length of time or the lift, if you will, that's being proffered for aperture. Now with regard to the time period, Your Honor has already determined what the appropriate approach is for the new information from ARCA. When Dr. Rentschler was on the stand, and with Dr. What you said, when can you get me the information? And they said, I think it was May 6th or May 7th, whatever, and they met the deadline. They did it. We proceeded along with the trial with that information. We complied with that request to continually try to claim that there should be ongoing remedies of something that's already been decided. I do not understand.
So I did leave open. I did leave it open to address.
You did leave open the time, but Your Honor didn't leave open that you were going to continue to address this matter as if the defense is making perpetual violations. There was a determination made, and then the question was the remedy. So I'm just addressing the Commonwealth, positing that somehow there's continuing violations. My final 2 points. What Mr. Brennan is seeking is improper. What it's seeking is the most extraordinary situation, which is have Aperture come before the jury, testify to certain things, have ARCA have to come on, and then have Aperture come back and essentially have almost a rebuttal to a rebuttal as of right. I do not understand that process. I do not understand that proposal. It inverts the order of proof. It prejudices the defendant because it almost ipso facto gives a double rebuttal, surrebuttal to the defense. I believe, Your Honor, the final point is, if Your Honor is inclined to give Aperture more time, and I haven't even heard a deadline yet for Dr. Welcher. It's still open. What I would recommend, Your Honor, is that we follow the proper order of proof. We determine when Aperture can conclude its review of the ARCA work, and that there be a reflection that keeps the order, namely that the prosecution comes in with Aperture, Dr. Welcher, and Mr. Burgess, and then the defense, as part of its case in chief, puts on ARCA, and we make the determination as to what happens there. Otherwise, what we're happening is here, it's almost a self-serving matter where the Commonwealth is getting to put on certain witnesses here from our witnesses and then have an automatic rebuttal. And Your Honor, I just think that's improper and prejudicial. There's another, and importantly, it's a burden shifting to the defense.
All right, so I have a question for you, Mr. Lessie. Are you still thinking that if the defense puts on a defense that will take roughly a week and a half for that to take place?
That is our best estimate still, Your Honor.
And not holding you to this because obviously you have no burden. If ARCA is part of that defense, when in that week and a half time frame would that be?
We haven't made a final decision, Your Honor, but we're pretty close that it would be toward the end.
Okay. All right. I needed all this information now, so I appreciate it. All right. Thank you.
Court, all rise.
Can I just say, what a slime ball. This is what you get when you hire a mobster lawyer to do your dirty laundry because you don't have a case. Bev heard the medical examiner today say there is no case. There's no proof that what the state is claiming happened. There's no proof. they will have to bring in some ringer tomorrow and try and say, well, his brain swelling shows he was hit by a car, because the medical examiner clearly stated there's no evidence of the state's case. And now they want to burden shift again and say, hey, we don't meet our deadlines. We invent new deadlines. We change the timeline. But it's actually the defense that's guilty of it, even though they followed the timelines put down by who? Andy Bev. This is absolutely ridiculous. How this case happened, well,
I don't understand how we're still here. I really
no. And if she comes back with a ruling tomorrow with her normal wishy-washy BS with, well, Arca can testify and then we can give the other people 2 days to do some. No, because now the defense have to use extra money to have Arca look at a rebuttal to their rebuttal to the state's expert. The state's expert made a report. Arca looked at it and said, that's bullshit. And then the state's Aperture went back and said, oh, by the way, 2 clocks weren't lining up. It's actually true what we're saying. This is so prejudicial, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about the law, but I just know if this is justice in Massachusetts, even though Dave is faxing me the money right now, I won't go there because it's other BS what you're doing. Oh, I'm gonna get Andriel off.
Giggity, 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 giggity. All right.
Let the defense bring up the changes to the report. Yeah. But again, Arca said on Wadir, we're not going to change one word in our original report. And then they were hired to rebut the expert from the Commonwealth. So they can come in and testify. When we delivered our report in February 2023, this is what we saw. And then they can say, okay, but the Commonwealth had their witnesses, Welcher and whatever the name was. They stated this. Well, we have looked at it and we did the same testing and we got a different result. This is a rebuttal. Then he wants to bring them back and say, when Arca said that we did it wrong, we actually did it right.
The day
That's
after
not how it works. He can
the day
put on his
after
case
the
in
Arca,
chief.
the day after the Arca report was due, May 7th, this guy all of a sudden turns in a new report. It's like, oh, we got information wrong. No big deal. Here's the real report.
And from a technical viewpoint, the 27-second drift of a digital clock is pretty wild. I've never, ever heard about.
That's crazy.
I'm going to go to Knoxville in 2 weeks, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll be there.
More than 3. 2. Oh, yeah.
And now I just called someone. But I'm going to go to Knoxville. When I land I'm going to go to Helsinki first. When I pick up my phone, because it'll connect to the internet, it'll say it's Helsinki time now. Then I'm going to land in Chicago. It's going to say it's Chicago time now. And then I'm going to land in Knoxville, and it's going to say it's Knoxville time now, because they update from the internet. So weird. I don't understand how this discrepancy even come. Oh. I can't wait for the Lifetime movie. I nominate Mo to play Bev. Who would Val and Baker play? Well, I would use a young Dom DeLuise to play me.
Who? Dom DeLuise?
Yeah. Cannonball Run.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm all right with it.
Do we have to pay the streetwalker? I might need a special massage tonight. Ladies? That's the worst part of having fans 7,000 miles away. I can't do the, hey, I'm a rock star. Do you know who I am? You have to be someone in the court. Yeah. If Karen's phone was really off from John's by 5 minutes, no, that's not what they stated. It's the vase system, the phone system, and the car system is off between each other. But
The
Waze.
There you go.
It's W-A-Z-E. In America, we pronounce it as it's written, vase. But
W's don't make a V sound.
That draws its time from the iPhone. Because it's just an app on the iPhone. How is an app 5 seconds off the phone time? I can understand that the Lexus and the phone might have a 27 seconds delay. But an app on the phone should have the same time as the phone. Because it's just another program running on the same internal clock. Where's totally not a Russian? He can explain it. Yeah, they I think they run off the atomic clock. So maybe Val can be Brennan with all the buttons he's pushing. Mm-hmm. I can see the car being off as you can only set minutes manually, so you can get somewhere halfway a minute, but haven't seen hour and minutes buttons in a car for at least 2 decades. I have it in my car. No, I don't have buttons. I'll turn it on the knob.
I don't know if I do or not.
I mean, you have an old car. So
mine's a 2016.
Mine in 2014.
Sucker.
Well, mine's an Opel, so it's German, so it's always accurate.
And mine's a Dodge Ram, and it'll drive over the top of your stupid little European car.
Yeah, but I will know exactly what time you did it. Most cell phones these days run off internet time, which is highly accurate. So there's no excuse for either phone to have different times, especially not an app, because Waze is an app on a phone. It's not a program outside. It's not like back in the day when you had your Garmin that you put on top of your dashboard, which would actually connect to the satellites and get its time from that one. This is an app running on the phone. So it'll just ask. That's why he talked about the accuracy of the GPS. It's the same GPS that's in the phone. It's just a way to ask the system and to narrow it down and put it on a map. So there should not be any reason to have differences. Hey, Jinx.
Hey, Jinx. Let's go. XL Super Heavy Flow Tampon Fund. Thank you. Thank you.
For GPS, milliseconds off gets you straight in the lake. 27 seconds, you're in the next state. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. That would mean you could... If you're going 60 miles per hour, how much do you move in 27 seconds?
So I'm hoping that was rhetorical.
Someone is out there. Have a great night, Helen from Holland. I'm out of jokes. I'll do better next time. Well, we'll probably have something tomorrow. Don't OnStar-enabled vehicles get time from the satellite network? Most likely would, yes. Yeah, I will do Kick Me, I'm Swedish. I will have that T-shirt on.
Oh, I've had about enough court for one day, I think.
I just can't take this whining idiot who constantly breaks all the rules and then cries about the other. It's kind of like, let's say a fictional team that was, their mascot looked kind of like a Minuteman, let's just say that, who might have deflated some footballs. And then they ran around, and then they complained that the other side was on steroids. And I don't know if anyone. It's a totally fictive thing.
Totally fictitious. Totally.
if you're using Waze in CarPlay, how does it pick the time? It'll still connect to your Bluetooth and use your GPS. It's just or else you could have you can have a GPS thing in your computer, but it'll be the same time. Ben will allow it. I know.
It's kind of gross at this point.
Yeah. But sadly, that's the reality of this case. They have a medical examiner who actually said there's reasonable doubt about how John died. And we are still going on with the trial. It's all the ridiculousness that you can have. But sadly, that's how the cookie crumbles, San Diego.
Well, Boston.
Do you know San Diego actually means Wales?
What? San Diego means Wales?
Wales. It's an Anchorman quote.
I know. I don't think that's true, though.
Why did I choose milk?
Milk was a bad choice.
I just love the new friendly milk you can get that introduces itself. Soy milk. That was a Duolingo joke.
In all day, haven't you?
You've been sitting on
No, I
that
just
one all
reminded
day.
myself with the milk. Soy milk. Hello. Soy Baker. Get some sleep. I need it.
Oh, Jesus.
Jen!
Misreads.
Yes.
Jen!
Get cut and dry. Pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right? Pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right?
Objection.
Pretty simple. Just